Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kappa Season 2. We've got TNC versus NND, Nasne Daganyat, the team that qualified from Vietnam. This is a round one matchup. Let's hop right into it. We're a little slow getting into this lobby, folks. Sorry about that one, but here ye are. It was TNC on the Dire and NND on the Radiant. TNC heavy favorites coming into this one. Let's pull up our Dota 2 Lounge bets and see what we're looking at. Where did things settle down? 23-77. 77%, of course, in favor of TNC, the team that went far in the Manila Major qualifiers but fell short right before the grand finals and weren't able to actually make it to the event. So a team that has a lot of skills. They were very strong early on in the patch. Kind of seemed like teams figured them out a little bit, but they've definitely played up against some of the best teams in the region and shown their stuff. NND, one of the qualifier teams, Doom Juggernaut, their opener. Pretty safe way to open up a draft here. Most likely that roaming position for Doom we've seen so much of, working that jungle, trying to put some pressure on the lanes. And Juggernaut, well, as we've seen, one of the better heroes to deal with the Darkseer.
10 seconds remaining.
Darkseer Slardar. Interesting opening from TNC. I guess that means it's probably a safe lane Slardar with the off lane Darkseer. Safe lane Slardar is pretty good. If you can get him free farm, guarantee yourself a Blink Dagger. We've seen a lot more frequently, though, the Slardar is going for that armlet first. It just seems like the item that is too good to pass up. You grab the armlet, get yourself some stats, get yourself a Blink Dagger, and then you're that mobile fish force that can move around and start taking control of the game. And Darkseer can synergize well with that. Around the time when when Slardar starts to come online with those two items, Darkseer should have his pretty core kit going. He should be looking at phase or arcane boots, mech, and be on his way to a Blink Dagger at that stage, so they can start actually taking initiations and look to find fights. TNC just limiting the support selections here, taking out the Lich so that they don't get dominated in the lanes, make sure Slardar gets all that yummy farm. And they take out Disruptor. Great team fight support just in general. That is one of the things the NND draft is lacking right now. You've got Doom, great lockdown. Of course, Jug is a great carry, but doesn't really provide much in the way of team fight control. And Disruptor is just one of the better heroes early on. Also just good against Slardar and Darkseer. Both of them very fast, very mobile, so Glimpse. Just generally good against heroes that can cover a lot of ground pretty quickly, pulling back a big distance. NND think about it for a while here, and they opt to ban out the Dragon Knight with their third, limit some of the tempo controllers here for TNC, and they ban out the Ricky Maru. Interesting choice. We've only seen a handful of Ricky plays. Maybe TNC has been experimenting with it. He doesn't really feel that strong right now. It's really annoying. There's that early window from like 10 to 25 minutes where he's pretty strong, and if he gets a lot of momentum there, he can kind of take over the game. But with a Ricky strat, you have to be prepared to close the game out pretty early. Lion now, third pick. We saw that in our previous best of one.
Dire team pick.
Can't go wrong with a Lion pickup. Good against all these heroes. Abaddon, though, picks up the Aphotic Shield. Nice cleanse tool. Get rid of that Hex from the Lion. Great way to deal with the Darkseer. You can absorb some of that Ion Shell damage while you finish off the creeps. Do some return damage. He is melee, so he has to kind of get right up in the fray at some points. God, in Canada Cup last night, we saw some crazy Abaddon play. And a lot of flexibility for NND. This could be a position 3 Doom in the off lane, could be a position 3 Abaddon in the off lane. Doom, Abaddon could be your 4 and your 5 role supports. It could even be, Doom in a lane and Abaddon being the one on the 4, using that Iron Talon to get a little bit of farm himself. We've seen that strategy work. Those early points in Curse of Avernus are great for finding ganks. It was buffed a bit recently, so now level 1, it starts at an 8% slow. A lot of flexibility with that hero. But Clinks now, the choice for TNC. All right. Big burst damage. Great against Doom. Very low armor hero. Those searing arrows are physical damage, baby. So level 7, Clinks just does huge damage to heroes like Doom. Even to Abaddon as well. Strength hero is pretty notorious for high HP, low strength. If you had to stereotype that classification of heroes, that's fairly accurate. So those levels before Abaddon has borrowed time. There's a small window there where Clinks can put some pressure on. NND realize they need a tempo controller of their own. They go with the Fairy Dragon. Puck will probably be their mid laner here. Huge AoE damage of the magical variety. Good control. Dream Coil can help close the gap for Juggernaut and Doom. The silence really going to come in handy here. And just an overall good laner.
5 seconds remaining.
Curious what TNC are going to pick for their mid. I think it now has to be a... Well, this is actually funky from TNC. It's just like a jungling Slardar. Is it Clinks mid, safe lane Slardar, Darkseer off lane? I don't think you really want to put the Slardar mid against Puck. I think he'll just get bullied out. I mean, you could do a dual lane mid, do like Slardar Lion mid, Clinks +1 in the safe lane with an off lane Darkseer. That could work.
5 seconds remaining.
Rotate in the Abaddon, force a couple of side lane changes from NND.
Reserve time.
I could see it. They could also put the Clinks mid. Should be able to harass and last hit pretty effectively against the Puck. Puck does have pretty high base damage, but I think Clinks could handle it. Venge and Coddle, the final bans. Coddle, an interesting choice from NND. I don't think we have seen much Coddle on this patch at all in any region. I mean, I'm sure he's been picked a little bit here and there, but not a popular choice. Is very annoying to have with a Clinks and a Slardar. All that mana sustainability, hell, even a Lion. NND go with a pretty heal-intensive lineup now. Juggernaut Witch Doctor will have their Death War, or the Voodoo Restoration and Healing Ward. My God, I almost combined all their abilities. Doom's going to have his Scorched Earth, and of course Abaddon has a Photic Shield, has the Mist Coil, so there is a lot of survivability on this NND lineup, though Invoker makes it all the way to the end of the pool. So who's playing the 4 for TNC now? Is it like a jungling Clinks? Is it a jungling Slardar? Invoker, a great pick here, though. Somebody who can go for that Midas, be nice and greedy, rack up a lot of farm, put some pressure on as well in the mid lane. Absolutely no problem with this Invoker pickup. Invoker.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I'm looking at this NND draft, and I'm thinking, this healing sounds good on paper. It feels like it's going to do well, but they just don't have that much control. I mean, you've got stun on Witch Doctor, you've got the Dream Coil from Puck. Both of those very specific stuns. Yeah, they interrupt TPs. Yes, they are a form of crowd control, but they're not the same as like a Stormhammer or a Ravage or some other big AoE that can actually lock people down. Doom might be able to pick up a Centaur. He'll have his ult, but I worry that once the mid-game breaks out and they actually have to team fight, TNC just have so many more tools at their disposal. They'll have a Blink AoE stun on Slardar. They'll have a Blink AoE stun plus Hex Initiation from the Lion. They'll have an Invoker with a Cold Snap. All of his big follow-up damage, probably Forged Spirits. He does go for Quas level 1. So possibly a Quas Wex Invoker. With EMP Tornadoes coming out, that'd be a great tempo controller for the mid-game. You've got Blink, Vac Wall Initiation from the Darkseer. Then you've got Clinks, who can actually initiate a fight just by being behind enemy lines. With aggressive positioning, can start off a fight. Oh, poor Lion. He's going to lose his ward here. Abaddon playing with him a little bit.
The battle begins.
Lion's still going to plop down a sentry to block out this camp. But that does hurt TNC, losing that ward battle early on. Other wards for raiding. Going to get some vision into the mid lane here. And Dire going to block out the pole camp and get some intel. Maybe into this lane a little bit if some of these trees fall down. Slardar with a pretty aggressive position here. He's got himself a stout shield and a set of boots. It looks like he is going to try to do this creep pull shenanigan. We saw this last game from the Tidehunter, but it was a little more awkward. I'm curious exactly where he's going to run with this. Does he pull him into the Ancients? Does he pull him into the Creeps? What's the play here, Slardar? What are you doing, fish boy? Goes uphill, has to turn to hit him. Very nice. And look at this timing. You just bring him right into the tower. Wow, he's done this a couple times. And there you go. Your last hit and creeps right in front of your tower. Damn. That's pretty slick. You do have to last hit against the tower, which is kind of a difficult battle. Slardar gets 2 of them there. But at least you're getting experience, and you're forcing the Jug to pull to position himself way further forward in the lane than he would like. And they know they blocked this camp out, so they'll at least get a couple creeps worth, or a couple waves worth of this successful lane position. So what's going on in the top lane here? Some harass back onto the Abaddon. Oh, this could be a potential first blood. He's going to have an aphotic shield, but they've got big damage. A few more arrows from Clinks. They'll be able to pop that shield and bring him down. Searing Arrow actually going to be enough. Cuts him down through the shield, and first blood is drawn. This Lion Clinks lineup does a lot of damage, and level 1 Abaddon actually doesn't have that much sustainability. Great setup there. And of all the heroes to get the first blood on, I think TNC will be pretty happy to see it on Clinks. Really curious to see what build he goes for. Does he just rush into the Orchid and start hunting around the map? Does he go for something a little more sustainable? Does he go for a Midas if he gets an early lead? Maybe even just right into the Medallion Desolator for minus armor. There's a lot of options on Clinks. Some of it depends on how much they value additional minus armor to pair with the Slardar, as well as Roshan. Because minus armor, of course, is the golden ticket to taking out the big boy. Mid lane, Puck versus Invoker. Pretty even spread. Looks like Puck has a pretty slight edge, but very even, all things considered. Invoker is going for a Quas Wex build, so we will expect EMP Tornadoes. Really good game for EMP. You don't have too many Arcane Boot carriers here. Abaddon generally doesn't want to go for Arcane Boots if he can get away with getting Phasies. And Witch Doctor, he can get the Arcanes for sure, but often wants to grab other items first, like right into a Glimmer Cape. So this will change some of their item builds a little bit. Doom and Jug, just very low mana heroes in general. EMP super effective against them if they don't have a support nearby. Say goodnight to your mana pool. Pretty quiet early game, though. How's the farm looking? Seems like NND are actually getting a little bit more out of the lanes here. Both Puck and Jug topping the charts right now. Not by much, but it is a small advantage. Darkseer is jungling for TNC, however, and that should start to pop them into the lead in terms of farm and XP. Just opening up the map a little bit more. 7,500 or 750 XP advantage just because they've got 2 solo lanes instead of 1. Slightly more efficient setup. Darkseer with an Iron Talon. Really don't see that too often, but just an Iron Talon Soul Ring. He's able to jungle pretty effectively here. You just plop the Ion Shell onto some of the enemy targets, pull them back and forth, throw in a few right clicks here and there, and you're finding some kills. Sam H. Samuel Harris. Keep it up, buddy. But NND are doing well on their cores. As to be expected with another support in the lane. Stands to reason they should be able to zone people out. Yoku Ben Stevanis. What a great name that is. Ben Stevanis. I wonder who that is. Stevanis. Phase boots up on the Jug. I wonder if this is a Battle Fury game for the Jug. Never a bad item to have on him, but the problem is it does present this window where he's pretty squishy and just does a decent amount of damage. That might be right around the time when TNC are getting hot. It's off-lane Slardar, so not going to expect him to have much farm. He's picked up Infused Drain Drops. Great mana regen on him. We've already talked about some of his mana issues. And not a lot that's going to take it off. The Juggernaut doesn't do enough burst damage with his magic damage to get rid of it. And Witch Doctor will eventually, but doesn't yet. So I think it's actually a pretty good raindrop pickup. Mid lane, though, going to see a rotation onto the Invoker. He's got the Ghost Walk, but they've got a Sentry. Say goodnight to old Invokey. They'll bring him down. Dream Coil used by the Puck to lock him in place. And a nice Manor Pause comes out from Nefari saying, wait, hold on 1 second. What's that? Are you dead, Invoker? Oh, right. Yeah, I was there. I remember. Just kidding. Looks like a hockey issue. Anyway, great rotation, though. Puck getting credit for that kill on the Invoker. He was already starting to pull ahead a little bit in the lane, and just rotation from the Abaddon. They're able to set it up, make it 1-1. All tied up here. Darkseer, almost level 6 after spending some time in the jungle, does come back down bottom. One of the best parts about this jungling Darkseer is that it's opened up for the Slardar to get solo XP. They go right in onto the Juggernaut. Ion Shell doing some decent damage here. Cask not going to take any bounces. Jug does not have an ultimate. They might be able to bring him down with just right clicks. Wall from the Darkseer comes out. Witch Doctor gets really low. They find the stun. It's another kill for TNC. Jug will survive. Healing Salve and Healing Ward will be enough to keep him up. I'll go back to farming in lane, but a great rotation. Catches him off guard, and he just that level 3 Ion Shell. You saw how much damage it was doing to the Jug. And ultimately, that Witch Doctor set up here from Teehee. Puck able to phase shift the EMP, but doesn't pick up the rune. Invoker will grab that invisibility in the bottle. Meanwhile, up top, though, Baden bites off a bit more than he could chew. Underestimating the damage from the Clinks, going up 1-2-2 build. Lion now level 4. They've got a lot of damage. And the level 4 Baden could not take the heat. Clink's 32 last hits, but remember, he's picked up 2 kills. So he's actually number 1 on net worth. Great start for him. Having a really good time in the safe lane. And now TNC are going to go up to some shenanigans down bottom. Slardar doing the side pull here. They're going to use the Ion Shell to actually clear these creeps in a pretty timely manner. Limit the XP that NND can leech. Now they just go right in onto the Jug. He does have an ultimate, but now he'll use the spin. Not going to have enough mana. They'll be able to surge away, and I think TNC could actually go back in for a fight here. They won't. Puck rotates, so make the smart call to back out. And they back out in time. That doesn't look like Puck will get too much from this rotation. Oh, I spoke too soon. Darkseer comes cruising on in. Breaks the tether. Oh, God, that's probably not where you wanted to snap it. Dream Coil secures another kill. Nefari happy with the rotation. Is giving Invoker a little bit of space to get some recovery farm, but as long as you get a kill with those kind of rotations, you're pretty happy as a Puck. So look how much damage the Clinks does to the Doom here, though. He's level 6, pops the strafe, and just lays into him. Not enough armor to handle it. Abaddon, only level 5. A few auto attacks, and he's going to be living in Painesville. Raven not going to die for it, though. Takes a miscoil, and we'll just back out now. The rotation from the Invoker. Teehee around the backside. Shoots out a tornado. Thinks the Abaddon's further back than he is, but we'll just finish him off with 2 simple right clicks. That was easy. Aphotic Shield had just been used on the Juggernaut, so he couldn't even use it for himself. Ben Stavanis will be okay, but his poor Abaddon's fallen on the back line. Let's gauge the overall graph here. 1,500 net worth lead for TNC, about 1K experience. They're really starting to erupt with some momentum here. Slardar having a great time in the off lane. Level 6 now, so he does big damage. Darkseer level 7, same deal. Ion Shell now maxed out with Arcane Boots. Puck, oh, I love this build. Straight into the Veil. We're seeing this more and more now. It used to be all about brown boot, phase boot. I said phase boot. Brown boot, bottle, how fast can I get my Blink Dagger? Now it's, I'm going to go right into Veil Discord. You get the double null tallies for some extra stats in the lane. Puck almost clipped by the EMP. Nice phase shift. Turns, drops the Veil on top of Teehee. A lot of magic damage coming his way. He snaps the tether. In comes the orb. A Doom used also. No way you're surviving that one. Probably overkill, but still a rotation. And Doom will get himself on the scoreboard, get his first assist going on. The Veil is so good on Puck, though. The build-up is really easy, gives you some really good stats, can even make use of that HP regen in lane, and of course, the magic damage buff increase. Puck is all magic damage, and he does a lot of it at this stage. It's a huge damage buff. It's like Zeus rushing a Veil, honestly, and it can propel you into the mid-game with a voluptuous fury. Abaddon just finds his level 6, so borrowed time now out. Going to be a difficult target to bring down. Amplified damage. Cleansed off by the Aphotic Shield. Another reason why Abaddon could have been a good pick here. Instead, they'll just going on to Witch Doctor. Cass slows things down, but this Clinks. He's picked up a medallion, and that means those right clicks hurt even more. Abaddon uses the borrowed time, and oh god, this Clinks. It's an easy double kill as Slardar slithers behind the tower. Now they come in. Teehee just walks right into the Puck. No Dream Coil, but takes an Omni Slash to the face. Turns, throws the tornado on the other side of it. Doom is in way too far. Only 3 armor on him. The ult from Slardar plus the medallion means he's going down to right clicks. It's a 3-0. TNC quite happy with that. Team fight recap. Not going to help us out too much here, but a pretty good exchange overall. AU in a lot of trouble here. Does get a stun out on the Puck, but he has been effectively veiled. He takes huge damage. Now the Death Ward comes out. Going to try to push back the Invoker. Actually pretty successful, but now Jug going in deep. Caught by the tornado. They'll find the kill on the Invoker. Compliments of the miscoil. Maybe overstaying their welcome. TNC need to cut their losses and just get out. They're not going to be able to finish off the Darkseer. Maybe Clinks can get a few of these guys as they run. Juggernaut's Aphotic Shield is about to expire. Raven with brilliant positioning here. How many auto attacks does he need? 1, 2. Not going to happen. He gets dusted. He goes down. Mega kill streak going to the Witch Doctor. Nicely played by NND. They were ready and waiting for that. They had a dust on the Witch Doctor. They baited it out. And that long, drawn-out fight ends up being a little bit more of a break-even than we thought it may be at first. Now, we can't forget that Lion was in the safe lane, getting valuable experience. There aren't a lot of supports at this stage in the game where you can say, yeah, but space created for Lion, it's actually pretty important. He gets that second point in mana drain, he gets past level 6, so he has Finger of Death, and he's now halfway to the Blink Dagger. This is one of the supports that can get a lot out of this early farm, and a fast blink on him means they can start controlling the game even easier. Even with those misplays, it's still pretty good for TNC. They're holding on to this moderate lead for 10 minutes in, but NND showing us they're a force to be reckoned with here. Take a look at overall items. The Veil on Puck is already proven to be quite the worthy pickup. Just a Drum and Aquila from Juggernaut. So going for these early items that give you a nice bout of stats. He's nice and beefy at 1100 HP, good movement speed. He's definitely ready to fight and anticipating that TNC are not going to be slowing down this tempo. Clinks wrapping behind the tower, but there's a smoke from NND. This could prove to be quite the interesting initiation. Juggernaut taking big damage. One more auto attack and they should be able to get him, but the Doom comes out onto Raven. They kill Darkseer first, and now they turn it around on the Clinks. That'll square it up 8-8. TNC were thinking that would just be a quick kill on the Juggernaut, but little did they know there was a smoke coming their way, and it's a 2 for the other way. 1,200 net worth is exchanged, and now NND look to put some pressure on this Tier 1 tower down in the bottom.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Here we go. EMP Tornado in, only connects on the puck. EMP actually not going to hit anything. A lot of pressure coming into this Tier 1 tower. TNC don't have the easiest defense here. They definitely need to be patient for these core items. It's one of the problems of the offlane Slardar. He just doesn't get that much farm. Still pretty off the blink, pretty far off the Blink Dagger. Lion getting very close though. It's almost like they're prioritizing the Blink Dagger on Lion more than the Slardar at this stage. He's only a couple hundred gold away now. Sam H pinging this out, says, hey, get some mana, snipe a couple of these last hits if you can. No, they're actually going to give him all to the Darkseer. I'm surprised. Very risky to have your Lion walking around with this much unreliable gold. If he gets picked off, it's going to hurt. It's going to undo a lot of this time spent farming in the safe lane. Clinks now with the Blightstone. Looks like he is going to go for this minus armor build. Just right into the Desolator BKB style. I think it's good here. Even against the Jug. They've got so much minus armor that this naturally pretty high armor Agi hero is definitely going to be feeling that minus armor hurt. Wow, that gold lead is actually completely closed now. NND are right back in this game. We'll see a smoke rotation from 2 in the mid. Raven and AU as the Blink Dagger comes out on Lion. They're going to sneak right into the Roche pit. And with all this minus armor, Roche is going to fall so fast. That -2. -12 with the Blightstone, Medallion, and Amp damage. So this is just 2 heroes at 13 minutes. Roche was just recently buffed in terms of survivability. A scan is going to be used here. It looks like it's a Radiant scan. It does ping green. It's not supposed to work in the Roche pit. I don't know why they used it like that. I'm not really giving you much intel, but Roche goes down. There's even an invisibility rune here waiting for the getaway. Lion's going to eat his stick charges and just pick it up. Go scout around, see if he can find anything. Easy Aegis for the Clinks, though. He'll pop a Death Pact and start moving around. Maybe look for a gank attempt here on the Juggernaut, who is now level 11, so more time invulnerable, jumping around with Omni Slash. Looks like probably the Battle Fury coming out here. Broadsword sitting in tow. And probably the Midas for the Invoker. Turning into kind of a weird game here. TNC had a really big advantage early on, and now it's slipping. It's slipping something fierce. This mid-game's turned very quiet, just a few pickoffs here and here. As NND try to farm up this core kit. Abaddon up to 1,100 gold. Really curious what he moves into. He picked up the Tranquils. They still don't have a single set of Arcane Boots. I think that's really going to be rocky. Once TNC start to 5-man, they're going to feel that EMP Tornado without any mana boots to recover with. Mid lane, just ready to show off this Blink Dagger. Waiting to burst somebody down, but he'll just TP out. Midas now picked up on the Invoker. TNC feeling like they need some late game security. Pretty standard item on the Invoker now, just in general. It used to be only for Exort Invoker, and Wex would do something a little bit different, like rush the Orchid, go for some utility items, maybe get a Yules, but just going to try to keep tempo here. Pick up that farming tool, get some extra XP going. Pretty classic Invoker stuff. I definitely would have thought TNC would want to put the pedal to the metal sooner rather than later, but now it seems they're pretty comfortable farming and they can fight around core items. Maybe the Deso on Clinks, he's not far away. He's got the first hammer, 900 gold sitting in the bank. There is also a Blink Dagger up on Puck now. Initiation tool to go with the Veil. Q, little dude. Smoke rotation from TNC. Are they going to catch the jug? Blink, stun, Hex, EMP. Say goodnight to your mana, son. They even dropped the finger on that. That's a quick pick on the jug, but well worth it. Hanging on to a fair bit of unreliable. Nothing he could buy. Well, probably some stuff he could buy, but not going to be able to do it fast enough. And now this will just turn into a tower siege with the Clinks here. He's got a little bit of the minus armor. Just that Blightstone, but it helps. Adds to that extra damage for the creeps. Looks like NND's response is going to be to push themselves. Nefari in the mid lane with an illusion rune, putting some pressure on that tier 1. But he's going to kill it pretty slow. They'll kill the tier 2 before the tier 1 even goes down. And now we'll see a rotation mid. Nefari getting rotated on. Hex stops him from getting away. EMP will connect. Slardar has a stun. It's a mega kill streak that goes the way of the Invoker. This is huge for TNC. They get a 500 kill gold streak. They get a tier 2, and they defend their tier 1. They don't even have to deny it. Now, teamfight recap, I'm not going to show us how big that swing is, but yeah, there you go. Look at that gold graph. It was this even kind of pussyfooting around, then all of a sudden they just erupt with a huge bout of momentum there. That's huge. They get the tier 1 in the top lane also. Blink Dagger and Mech up on the Darkseer. Just like that, the flick of a switch, this TNC lineup is really starting to come online. 3 Blink Daggers and a Deso. They'll get another tower in the mid lane. And just like that, the tower count is all 5 standing for TNC and only 2 outer for NND. Doom's gone for the Vladimir's Offering. Good all-around utility item for the team, but doesn't do much in terms of if this was a Blink Dagger, maybe he could initiate and catch someone to start a fight. This makes his positioning very difficult in these engagements. Right now, he's just hanging on to a Hellbear Smasher. Thunderclap, not a bad spell to have. Nice AoE slow. The Swiftness Aura, mediocre. I think maybe just the damage creep at this point. Find yourself an Alpha Wolf could be good. Or the Ice Ogre. There's so much minus armor that Ice Ogre could be the way to go. Are there any Ogres about? Well, there is an Alpha Wolf. That could be quite good. Yeah, no Ogres out right now. I mean, you can always just pick up the Vul Assassin and get yourself the Venom. You know, that lasts for 20 seconds. 10 on heroes, but still, it's a pretty long time. Force Staff up on the Invoker. Midas Force Staff into mobility, so you can get in the right spot for those EMP tornadoes. We can't forget about Alacrity as well. Pretty huge. Still only 1 point in Exort, but the attack speed alone is pretty big on a hero like Slardar, who's hoping for those RNG bashes. TNC smoke up, hunt through the Radiant jungle, but unfortunately for them, they're not going to find much. NND just split pushing in the top lane behind the Jug. They'll be able to just tank up this tower, and this will be close to his Battle Fury if he gets the last hit. They will use a glyph to delay things, just avoid stone away. Really awkward positioning for TNC. They wanted to pick a fight there, and I think they absolutely could have, but misreading the positioning of NND. We'll see the Aegis get taken away. Going to be a relatively long time, about 2.5 minutes past the timer. Oh, Dream Coil whiff from Nefari. Close call. Small circle of luck there. I think AU just blinking back to get to safety. Here we go. They go right in on the Jug. My God, does he die fast. Finger and a couple of right clicks from Raven. And that Jug is just a puddle of blood on the floor. No buyback on him. This should be a pretty easy tier 2 for TNC. No reason not to continue the siege. Strafe plus Alacrity. Oh my God. With just the Alacrity on, it's almost like he's strafed up. That's pretty ridiculous. Some sick synergy there. Look at it go. Blink, Hex onto Nefari. Do they actually have the follow-up? Slardar comes in, goes for the stun on Doom. Meanwhile, on the backside, they're trying to zone them out, but the Doom just gets destroyed. He does get it off onto Clinks. Abaddon chasing him down using the Curse of Avernus, but now the heal from Sam H, the Surge. Clinks is going to be just fine. They lose their Lion off on the backside. Borrowed Time gets procced. TNC will back up, reset, but Doom's about to go off. A Dream Coil back up for the puck. They'll kill the Clinks. Veil making things a little bit easier, but now they go in onto the Abaddon. They know he doesn't have an ultimate. Invoker just finishes off Witch Doctor on the side, and it's a little bit of the ring around the rosy. Ends up being a decent fight for NND, at least it seems like it, but now Abaddon gets left behind. Tornado will be off the mark for the puck. They still get the tier 2 tower. Invoker was able to finish it off. So when it's all said and done, 2 for 3, TNC don't quite get the hero kill net worth gain out of it, but I think with the tower, it is worthy. Unfortunately, they couldn't pick that fight when they still had the Aegis, the good positioning from NND. Delayed that fight long enough that they'd have to kill the Invoker twice. But still, the gold lead continues for the Dire. 12k net worth, almost 10k experience. That might jump up a little bit more as that Abaddon kill gets updated. Little bit rocky for this Radiant squad. Jug going for this build that allowed him to fight early and now transition into farming. Hasn't really worked out too well. 0, 2, and 5 is definitely not the score the Jug is hoping for when he goes for these early combative items like the Aquila as well as the Drum. Go for one or the other maybe for just sustainability and lane, but I think if he had just gone Phase Boots Battle Fury, he might have had enough space to just get that farming tool and start to power farm to try to stay tempo with TNC. But now you've got this Jug who's not really in great fighting shape, has the farming tool and hasn't really started farming yet, and he's already behind all 3 of the cores of TNC. It's going to take a while for him to not just recover and keep tempo, but to pull ahead and really take control of this game. They're going to need to win more than just one engagement for that to happen. And, you know, we can't forget TNC still have a lot of tools at their disposal. Clinks now with an ultimate orb. Maybe just going to move right into a Scotty. I'm curious what he's going for here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe just a Lincoln's. Great against the Doom. Not too much single target. Could be a good choice. Maybe just that Manta style, but also kind of an odd choice. So much mobility. 3 Blink Daggers and Lion going for a Force Staff of himself. So 3 Blinks, 2 Force Stabs, and a Clinks who's one of the speediest heroes in the game with all that movement speed from Skeleton Walk.
Dire's bottom tower has
Looking for a pick-off here. Surprised he's not going back for an Orchid. Seems like a pretty good Orchid game to me. A lot of heroes that you could catch and lock down with that silence. He's just looking for the opening to go in, but too many heroes nearby. 4, and then the last one on the way. TNC have a decision to make. Do they want to try to push these side lanes, or do they want to take a fight at their top tier 2? And I think the latter is going to be the better choice. Oh, Puck comes in to catch the Lion. Actually drops the Dream Coil for this. Cuckoo's definitely going to die here, it looks like. Juggernaut coming in with a Blade Fury. Can secure the kill. Darkseer not going to be able to boot up in time, but gets a great vac. No wall, but sets up a stun for the Slardar. The wall comes out a little bit late. They force the borrowed time. Now Doom onto Raven. Clink's just going to try to back up to live here, but Puck in hot pursuit. Beautiful stun from the Slardar. Sets up for the Invoker. EMP Tornado. EMP connects on 2. The Puck able to phase shift it. It is a 2-0. NND start off this fight pretty well. They might still lose their... pardon me, they're bad. I thought that was Slardar for a second. So make it a 2-1. The real storyline is the Clink surviving. And honestly, the Lion almost lived. The Darkseer TP'd in, almost got there in time to use the Guardian Greaves to keep him alive. But Juggernaut did secure the kill. Blink Dagger now up on the Doom. He has a little bit more initiation power. AU, maybe they can find this Doom. Oh, the Clinks just gets him. With the Deso Medallion, this Doom falls so fast. He can't even hold a candle to the Clinks. So when it's all said and done, TNC chase him down, get the recovery kills, and makes it a 2-2. At least for NND, they've kind of stalled the lead for now. Midas versus Battle Fury. So they do have some farming tools. A 3rd Force Staff now. 3 Blinks, 3 Force Staffs against the double Blink of NND. This is mobility. Mobility, mobility. That's the name of the game here. Really curious what Clinks is getting here. I guess it's just a Lincoln's. Really is a good Lincoln's game. Yeah, obviously Scotty and Deso not ideal. But just odd. I really thought just right into Orchid. I mean, it does make you kind of a glass cannon. He picks up an Aegis of the Immortal. That's nice. Yeah, it might not even matter. TNC are just taking so much control now with the Aegis They're one team fight away from just knocking it high ground. And with the Deso on Clinks, boy, can they clear out tier 3 towers quick. Now a Aether Lens comes out on the Abaddon. Pretty good item on him. Does help some of those mana issues. And now you can Aphotic Shield from a slightly better range. It's kind of what this spell is known for, having abysmal cast range. One of the reasons why you don't see Abaddon picked against Bat Rider very often. Cuckoo initiated on in the mid lane, tries to force staff away, and might still be able to live, actually. Drops a Hex on the Puck. They did use a Dream Coil for this as Blink Dagger resets. And the Lion survives the onslaught mid. All right. Minor victory there for him. Jug taking over as number 1 on net worth. So this Battle Fury has been starting to pay off. TNC, I can't help but feel like they're spending a little bit too much time farming here. They've gone for all these mobility tools, and they're not really picking fights as much as they could. This Puck is going to continue to be scary. He picks up a Dagon now, so even more magical burst damage. Obvious synergy there with the Veil of Discord. Even that Slardar has not gone this BKB route. If Puck catches him when he's got Sprint on, oh man, he's going to be dying quick. 15% additional damage taken on top of the Veil. It's actually really scary. Invoker, maybe initiated on up top. Jug looking for an Omni Slash perhaps. Ghost Walk, quite possibly available, as well as a Force Staff. Jug not going to be baited into it. And now we're going to see them have a go, but all of NND TP out. Close call. Lion actually guesses right. They catch a glimpse of him, but that's going to be the end of it. So 2 minutes out of the way on the Aegis here. Only 3 remaining. Still a pretty good window. At the very least, they should group up and try and take out this guy. One of the least important towers on the map, but just get rid of that final access point. Get yourself some additional gold. I think TNC need to turn this up a notch. Wow, it's a Scythe of Vice. My God, I didn't even consider that. But it makes sense. I've been talking about the Orchid on Clinks, and the Scythe is like a better Orchid, really. The drawback to Scythe is it's got a tough buildup. If you can actually get the items to make it happen, it's incredible. All right, Clinky Winky. I like this. This is an interesting change of pace from Raven. This is going to be the debut as well. It hasn't been scouted from NND. He just goes right in. Piggy on the Witch Doctor. He dies before he can do anything. Dream Coil used on the Clinks. They're going to go in and pick this fight, but Clinks is just cleaning it up. He gets a triple kill as the Doom and Puck fall. I mean, look at the Jug. He couldn't do anything. He got obliterated. And that's the power of the Clinks, ladies and gentlemen. Abaddon has a borrowed time. He's going to be able to survive a little bit longer, but to what avail? Let's look at this recap. 2,300. Even more. It's about 3K net worth traded. So much of that damage was the Clinks. All right, we're going to relive that one. Look at the positioning. Well, with that, I think TNC are in pretty good shape now. Suffice it to say. All right, so remember, this is the debut of the Hex. So it does make a little more sense, perhaps. He walks right in on the Witch Doctor and just obliterates him out of the gate. They're going to go into the high ground here in the real game. We're actually going to cut back to it. Not the best time for a replay. Thought they were going to initiate, but a fight could break out at any second here. This is a high ground defense that NND have to make. They've already used their glyph. Buybacks, relatively sparse. I take that back. Very sparse. TNC happy with the tier 3, and they will just back out. No buybacks used. Now they just rotate for this tier 2. So it looks like we can just go back into this replay here. Let's jump it back a little bit more. So the Clinks gets the initiation. There's the first kill. 1, 2, 3, 4 shots him. Puck drops the full rotation, but Slardar just has such a brilliant counter initiation. They vacuumed them away from the Clinks. And it's just like TNC choreographed that fight so goddamn well to keep the Clinks safe. Now back in the game, speak of the devil. Clinks in pretty deep, but another beautiful vac wall. 2 of them dead before the wall even comes out. Omni Slash goes off, but it doesn't find any kills. Raven's still alive. He's alacritied up, and these right clicks just hurt so damn much. Gonna go in onto Boo Boo. The borrowed time has already been used. It's a 1 for 2, but again, TNC are the aggressors here. It's going to be a long Roche respawn, close to the max timer as their Aegis is reclaimed. They still finish off this tier 2 tower.
Radiant's top
and
tower
send the
is
Doom back to the grave once more. They're going to keep this push going. Lion's dead with a finger available, but they don't really seem to mind. He's got 2 Tomes of Knowledge also. It's going to get him really close to his level 16. With no glyph, they can do a lot of damage to the structures here. Puck goes out of the base quick, but again, Slardar with this huge stun on 2. It's basically like having a Tide with a constant refresher. It's just non-stop AoE stuns. They get a duo of kills on the Juggernaut and a Baden. They don't even need the Lion to make these kills happen. The creep wave gets cleaned up. They do a 3rd damage to the tower. They just need to wait for this next creep wave as they use the Guardian Greaves. A couple of urn charges. They'll be topped off again. This Invoker is just too beefy. 2100 HP now. Puck, Dream Coil up in 5 seconds, has the Veil, jumps in, drops the Dagon, but it just tickles the Clinks. Eden uses the Doom, but what's he going to do? It zones back the Invoker, and again, TNC can just say, okay, let's back up, let's reset. That'll give us more time for Lion to get here. We'll survive through the Doom, and then we can just reinitiate again. They won't have a Doom available, and what are they going to do? Clinks now has a full Solar Crest, a Demon Edge. God, he is massive. There's just nothing slowing him down. And this Jug, honestly, just can't do anything. He's got a Manta style now. Yeah, that's cute. But I don't know how he's supposed to survive against this Clinks. Even with Blade Fury on, they don't even care. They've got so much minus armor and decent right clicks that it just doesn't matter. Slardar comes in, catches Nefari.
is under attack.
Pops an amp damage on him.
Radiant's top
Meanwhile, they just clear out that tier 3 tower. Raven, the only one caught by the Dream Coil. Follow-up damage isn't there. He's not even going to break it. He's just going to stand and fight. They destroy the Juggernaut and the Doom. You blink and you miss it. I mean, the minus armor buffs up the damage so much. These 2 cores are down, both of them lacking buybacks, and I don't know how NND hold now. They don't even have a Death Ward. It will be up in about 5 seconds, but no Dream Coil for a minute. That's the top lane of melee barracks, and it's looking like TNC will just be able to close this out. Mid lane still has barracks standing, but they've got no tier 3, no glyph for the better part of a minute. They're just going to move in on it. Boo Boo uses the borrowed time. Puck's going to die off to the backside. And it looks like Witch Doctor's going to die shortly after using this Death Ward. GG gets called, though.
dire victory.
The qualifier team from Vietnam putting up a good fight. You know, looking at the graph, there was a window there where it seemed like they were holding their own in this game, but TNC just erupted with this mid-game fury, maximizing on mobility. Blink daggers and force stabs galore, and then they just started going into utility. The Hex on Clinks proved to be a very good item. Shiva's Guard, almost the Octarine Core on Invoker. Sometimes mobility is all you need. And my God, that's Slardar. Look at his score. 1-1 and 17. I feel like those numbers are pretty damn representative of his presence that game. It was basically just blink, AoE stun, disengage. Blink, AoE stun, disengage. Oh, you're running away? Force staff, stun, you're all dead. That was how those team fights went. There were a couple great vac walls right into Slardar crushes that made them like mini Ravages. Very impressive from TNC. No surprise that they were the favorites coming into this one. But hey, that'll do it for us today. Just 2 best of 1s for Kappa. I'm Zyori from moonducktv. You can give me a follow on Twitter at ZyoriTV, at moonducktv to keep up to date with this tournament and all things happening at the studio. And we'll be back later for more Kappa. I think there might be some coverage coming up tomorrow, but we donezo for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We got one more final commercial break, and then this stream's going bye-bye. Take care, folks.